Hi. This story comes from Ireland. I first heard it from Jack Lynch in Dublin. In Ireland, they celebrate the fiddle, the violin. They love the stuff. They love hearing the music, and they have competitions to see who's the best. They start learning when they're very young, and there are many, many competitions across the country. Thus it was, one day, there was a competition right in the middle of Ireland, a small village, a small hall, a large stage, and people had been called to play. They had one chance alone, one tune now of their own choosing to play and impress the judges. Now, this place had 3 judges. One had indeed been called up from Dublin. It was such an important job. Each judge was sitting there in his best suit with a fountain pen and a new, clean pad of paper in front of him. The lead judge knocked. "Can we have the first competitor?" They all turned, and in walked a man wearing a camel coat, a trilby hat, and the finest set of brogues you've ever seen. They shone like anything, and he had beautiful socks on. But beyond that, they saw that he had an amazing violin case. It too shone. It was beautifully brown, and when he opened the lid, he took out from it an amazing violin. "Could that be a Stradivarius?" one judge whispered. "It looks like a grand instrument," said the other. The man prepared himself. He pushed rosin across his bow and cleared his throat, for a reason they didn't really understand, and raised the violin to his chin. They all the 3 judges, closed their eyes and waited for the sound that was going to sweep them off their feet. But when he started, boy, was he bad! Oh, no! And halfway through the first 3 bars, the main judge stood up and said, "Sorry, I'm really sorry. You're going to have to stop. That is dreadful." Oh, they settled down into their chairs. The main judge tapped his pen again and said, "Could we have the next competitor?" The next man came in. He was wearing what you could only describe as a farmer's suit. You know the sort. He gets it out once a year, and it isn't really clean, and the moths may have been at the elbows a bit. He had a violin case with him, but it looked a bit ropey. It had obviously been sitting in a barn for some time, and it was quite dusty, and when he put it down on the table in front of them and dusted it off, they all coughed and fluttered. "Oh, get on with it, man! Get on with it, man!" He did. He opened the case and took out a violin. It looked all right, but it looked as though it hadn't been played for some time. He too placed rosin on his bow and put the violin to his chin, and the man was seen to close his eyes and concentrate for a few seconds, and then he started to play. The judges leaned forward. Oh my goodness, he was bad! He was worse than the first man. Dreadful! The main judge stood up and said, Stop, man, stop! Be gone! You're dreadful!" The man put his violin away and slowly trudged off the stage. "Call the next man, please." In came the 3rd man. In Ireland, they enjoy buying clothes from Primark, which they call pennies, and this man was clearly dressed in pennies' clothes. He had a kind of jumper on, which had seen better days. He didn't have a tie, and he had a collarless shirt. And his shoes, they didn't really fit him. And now they did his trousers, which were halfway up his calf. And he carried his violin in, slowly and carefully, as though it was a beautiful thing. But it wasn't a beautiful thing. The bow hardly had any strings, and it looked as though he was missing a string himself. The judges thought, "We'll give him a chance. Give us your best," said the main judge. They settled down, waiting for the worst. The man slowly raised his bow and pulled out his first note and started to play and play and play. And boy, he was as bad as the rest. Ah!